Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Sandy Smith, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Kristen Watts. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Lance Corporal Charles Edward Waghorn, whose story will be told shortly. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and girl guides representing the Woden Valley Guides from the ACT. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem. If you are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops at Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Charles Edward Waghorn. Charles Waghorn was born in Claremont, Western Australia on the 24th of June, 1909. He was the fifth of 10 children, 5 of whom were boys, the other 5 girls, born to Alfred and Agnes Waghorn. Known as Charlie, Waghorn grew up in Western Australia and found employment as a lead glazier and later as a defence worker. In 1934, he married Jean, and the following year, a daughter, Jennifer, was born to the couple who were living in Kalgoorlie. Charlie joined the 2nd Australian Imperial Force on the 27th of April 1943 in Perth, having put his age down a couple of years. He was in fact 33 years old. Charlie's 4 brothers had already joined up. Henry, Jack and Andrew enlisted in the army, while Edgar chose the Navy. Private Waghorn was allotted to the 13th Infantry Training Battalion and was soon made acting corporal. In October, he reverted to the rank of private and was assigned to the 44th Battalion, a militia unit based in Perth. He remained with the 44th until July 1944, when he transferred to an AIF unit, the 2nd 24th Infantry Battalion, then based in Queensland. By November, Charlie had been made Lance Corporal again, this time substantively. In January 1945, Waghorn was granted leave and he returned home to Western Australia for about 3 weeks. Not long after returning to his battalion, it was warned to prepare for deployment overseas. On the 8th of April, the 2nd 24th Battalion embarked in Townsville and sailed north, disembarking a week later at Morotai, northwest of New Guinea. The 26th Brigade Group, to which Charlie's battalion belonged, was earmarked to capture Tarakan, a tiny but strategically important island off the northeast coast of Borneo. Capturing Tarakan would be the first stage in the Borneo campaign of 1945. The main objective was the capture of the island's airfield, which could be used to support further attacks. On the morning of the 1st of May 1945, some 12,000 Australian troops began landing on Tarakan's southern coast. The 2nd 24th came ashore at Red Beach and spent most of the day in Brigade Reserve. Casualties were light that day, as most of the Japanese defenders had withdrawn inland. After securing the beachhead, the Australians advanced into Tarakan town, then north towards the airstrip. They encountered increasingly determined Japanese resistance as they moved inland. The task of capturing the airfield was assigned to the 2nd 24th Battalion. Its first attack on the night of 2nd of May was delayed when the Japanese set off explosive charges and the airstrip was not secured until the 5th. While the main objective had been achieved, the Japanese still held Tarakan's rugged, hilly interior. Over the next few days, the Australians advanced further inland, but the advantage lay with the enemy defenders who were concealed on higher ground. Japanese snipers were active and claimed many lives. At night, they launched surprise counterattacks, unnerving in their suddenness and savagery. On the 10th of May, the 2nd 24th Battalion was ordered to relieve the 2nd 23rd along a razorback called Crazy Ridge and seize the high ground overlooking the airstrip. As the companies pressed forward along the tracks and through broken country, there were several clashes with the enemy. The 2nd 24th lost 4 men killed that day, among them Lance Corporal Charlie Waghorn. He was 35 years old. All told, 240 Australians died in the fighting for Tarakan, and almost 700 were wounded. Though the island was captured, the airfield could not be made serviceable in time to be of use. Waghorn was initially buried at Tarakan, but his remains were later relocated to the Labuan War Ceremony off Brunei Bay. His name is listed on the honour roll on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Charles Edward Waghorn, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.